Welcome to session 7 of our vocabulary boosters. This session is a follow-up to the body parts class that we did a few weeks ago. We're going to go over some of those words again and discuss their synonyms and antonyms. If you haven't checked out the first video already, then make sure you click on the link here to watch that video. After you've done that, I would recommend taking the time to revise those words, leaving it a day or two before you watch this video. Forgetting those words a little bit and then coming back to this is going to help your brain to retain those words far better than it would if you did everything at once. Okay, but for today, let's get going with some new vocabulary. The first thing we're going to do is learn a few new words that will be either synonyms or antonyms of some of the words you already know. Hopefully, as we go through this, you'll remember a few of the words that could be synonyms or antonyms of these words. If not, don't worry, because we're going to go over those words again in a second. First up, we have obstruct. I'll give you an example sentence. I tried to go in, but a large dog was obstructing the entrance. So I tried to go in, but a large dog was obstructing the entrance. What could that be? Why would you not be able to go in because there was a large dog there? Perhaps the dog is blocking the entrance. So the prefix and root for this, for those of you that like to know these things, we have struct, which means to build, as in when you construct something, you build it. But ob means against. So obstruct is to build against someone else. Now let's look at the definition of that so you can write that down. It is to block or clog and to prevent or delay something. So if something got into your drains and your pipes at home, perhaps someone would say that there is an obstruction there. If you're obstructing someone else, you're preventing or delaying them from doing something. One crime actually that uses this word is obstruction of justice. That is illegal. So remember, justice means like fairness, and it's to do with the law. So if you obstruct justice, maybe have a little think about what that could mean. So it does mean to stop justice and fairness from going ahead. You've prevented it from going ahead. What that means in practice is, let's say someone committed a crime and then you lied to the police about it. That would be obstruction of justice. It would be illegal because you've stopped the police from doing their job. You have blocked them and you've prevented them from doing something. Now just make sure you've got obstruct and the definitions written down. And then we have vigilant. Note this doesn't say vigilante. I'm going to come on to vigilante in a second just because I know some of you will be curious about the meaning of that and how it relates to vigilant. An example sentence here would be, the burglar was spotted by vigilant neighbours. The burglar was spotted by vigilant neighbours. This means to be very alert or careful about danger, to be cautious. So if your neighbours were keeping an eye out and they were very alert and aware of what was going on in your street, then they are being vigilant. Okay, write that down and let's talk about vigilante. So some of you may have heard the word vigilante in like superhero films. So if you had a film about the Avengers or Superman or something, then they might be called vigilantes. What usually happens in those films is that perhaps the mayor of the city that they're in gets angry with the superheroes getting involved in everything, and they might say, we have to stop these vigilantes. So a vigilante is someone that punishes criminals without the authority to do so. And that is what superheroes do. They're not police, it's not their proper job, but that's what they do to protect people. So in a way, they are being vigilant as well. They are being careful about dangers, but sometimes in a film you'll hear them called that in a critical, a derogatory way, not a nice way, because perhaps they have destroyed some property in the process and people are getting sick of it. Next up, we have to infuriate. Now, if you can guess the base word here, that will give you a big clue as to what infuriate means. Did you spot it? So the base word here is from the fury, part. The base word is fury. Now, fury is anger, great anger. So what does it mean if you infuriate someone? Now, the suffix ate can change a word into a verb. For example, if you liquidate something, then you change it into a liquid form. So if you infuriate, you make something or someone furious. So that's all infuriate means. So to enrage or to cause great anger. Note you have rage there as well. So to put rage in someone is the same as to put fury in someone, to make them very angry. Now, accelerate. Most of you will probably know this because of cars. In cars, you have the accelerator pedal, and what does that do? It makes your car go faster. To accelerate something is to make something go faster. You might accelerate a process by just making it easier for someone, make it go more quickly. Now, facilitate. Facilitate. Well, your clue for this one is that in Italian, French and Latin, facile, or a variation of this word, means easy. And actually, one of my pupils, and I'm really annoyed because I can't remember which language she was talking about, but she was saying that in one of the Eastern European languages, facile, it means easy as well. So in lots of languages, that's what it means. Now remember what I said about the ate suffix, that changes a word into a verb, a doing word. So how can you do something that relates to easy? Well, you can make it easy. So to facilitate is to make something easier, to help. And that does relate to the word, in case you're wondering, facilities. For example, in some restaurants, you may see that they have a sign that says they have baby changing facilities. So facilities are there to allow you to do something, to make something easy for you. So a baby changing facility would make it easy for you to change your baby. Okay, so make sure you've got that definition down. If you're a bit behind on your definitions, just pause this video, get them all down, and then we can continue. Okay, now we have audacity. The example sentence that we have here is, the thief had the audacity to steal the car in broad daylight. Now, what could that mean? He had the audacity to steal the car in broad daylight. You would think that a thief might try to steal a car at nighttime when no one's around, when you're not seeing perhaps as many vigilant neighbours. But if you have the audacity to do something, then perhaps you're feeling arrogant. You're feeling like you won't get caught. And that's what audacity is. It is daring and an arrogant boldness. Now, if you display audacity on a regular basis, you may be described as audacious, or maybe one thing that you did was audacious. For example, if you broke a rule right in front of a teacher, then that would be audacious. To help you to remember this, perhaps you can think of a time that you have been audacious or that someone you know has been. And I'd love it actually if you told me about that in the comments. That should help you to remember the word audacity and audacious. Now I've just got an image here to help you to remember one of those words. Any idea which one it was? It is obstruct. You see how this block of ice is obstructing the woman's path. She can't get around it, so it's blocking her way. Now our next memory aid here, we have a picture of a dog, and can you remember what this might go with? He's keeping a watchful eye out for trouble. You look, he's even got a paw in the air in case he needs to start running, because he is being vigilant. He is very aware of any dangers that may come, and he's even in his superhero costume already because he intends to protect people from danger, because he is vigilant and cautious. Now, if this dog goes after people, some may call him a vigilante dog. Now, usually we reserve that for people, but this can help you to remember. So if he is attacking criminals and trying to punish them, he does not have the authority to do so. He's not a police dog, so he would be called a vigilante. So he might be a vigilant vigilante. Okay, now I've covered these words in a previous video, so I'm going to go over them really, really quickly. Perhaps if you want to match some of them up yourself, you can pause the video and figure out which words go with which definitions. But as a memory aid to jog your memory, remember voc came from vox, which was to do with the voice. So this kind of word has to do with speaking up. Impede came from the word from ped, which meant foot. Spect meant to look, and then the others are ped and voc meaning voice, and ped again. So let's go through the definitions. Vocal, that's to use your voice a lot. So you might be loud, and you also perhaps speak up, so vocal. You might be vocal about your beliefs, you speak about them a lot. To advocate for someone, that's when you speak up for someone else. So you defend them, you stick up for them. Circumspect. Now remember, circum is like a circle. If you imagine you're looking around something. So you don't want to jump right in, you want to look around and see if there's any danger around, and that may give you a clue as to one of the synonyms that we've just covered. So circumspect will go with cautious and unwilling to take risks. Impede. Now remember, impede literally meant to hold someone's foot. So you're holding them back from doing something. So impede, to prevent someone from doing something. An expedition, ex means out, so you go out on foot. Usually an expedition is a trip or journey, usually a long one. To provoke. Pro meant forward. To provoke means to call forward. You're calling forward someone's emotions, and it's a negative emotion usually. So to provoke means to anger or annoy on purpose. And then finally, expedite is when you make something go quicker. So you can imagine the feet just moving faster in that case. Expedite goes with to speed up. And on to our last slide for today. We're going to match up the synonyms in this box with the words down here, which hopefully you already know. There are a couple of antonyms that hopefully you've learnt along the way, so I'll talk about those at the end as well. Now let's go through each one from the top left. A quest. A quest is a journey. It's usually to find something in particular, but you would go on a long journey to find something. So a quest would be a synonym of, what do you think? Expedition. Quest and expedition. Obstruct. Remember that what that meant? You can think about the block of ice. So that's to block someone's way, to prevent them from doing something. So which of these prevents someone from doing something? Impede. Now don't forget, hopefully you've already done it, but you can just pause this video right here if you want to do these on your own, and then check your answers by pressing play. Then we have accelerate. Remember that about the accelerator pedal in the car, that speeds things up. And expedite meant to speed things up. Vigilant, you're being watchful, you're being cautious, and another word for that might be circumspect. Now, a circumspect person might be a little less outgoing than someone that's just vigilant. Circumspect might be almost shy. They're wary because they're a little afraid. Defend. What does that mean? So if you're sticking up for someone, you're defending them, or you're speaking up for them. So defend goes with advocate. Remember, there are two ways to say this word. There's advocate, that's a person that defends someone, and then advocate, which is the verb. We're talking about the verb in this case. Infuriate. So remember, fury, that's to make someone angry, which would be provoke. Okay, so we've got a full first column. Support, that's also going with defend and advocate. Wary, cautious, circumspect, vigilant. Adventure, you go on an adventure, you might call it a quest or an expedition. hamper, that's to get in someone's way, to hold them back, so we will go with impede. Incite, if you incite anger, you're stirring anger, you're making that happen, so that would be with provoke and infuriate. And finally we have precipitate, which we didn't discuss in the video today, but it means to make something happen more quickly than was expected, so to make it happen earlier. So that would go with expedite. And there you have it. Now just one last thing before we finish up today. Did you spot any words that you know the antonyms of? Some of these words you might know the antonyms already just from your general knowledge, but from today's video, facilitate is an antonym of one of these words on the left. Facilitate would go with impede as an antonym. Facilitate, you make something easier. Impede, you hold someone back and stop them from doing something. And then audacious, that's when you're very bold. That would go with circumspect as its antonym. So if you're audacious, you're reckless, you jump in. If you're circumspect, you stand back and you watch. All right, I hope you have learnt lots today and are going to be using some of these words when you speak at home. Do tell me in the comments if there are particular words that you've enjoyed learning today or that you didn't know before, because I would love to read your comments. Why not keep the learning going by checking out another one of our videos? On the left, you can go onto a maths video if you are sick of vocabulary for the day, or if you want to keep going with vocab, then click on the video on the right. See you next time.